Welcome back to One More Build. All the videos on YouTube, and you chose to click on mine. Thank you so much. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Right now I'm at 28, and I'm thankful and love each and every one of you. I'll try to keep the intro short because this video is kind of long. I just put one clip of the rocket being launched at the end of this video. If you want to see all the launches though, I'll leave a link in the description below. It's not as long as this video, so please check it out. Now let's build a rocket launcher, and thanks for watching. I've already cut all my pieces to length. Now I'm going to lay it out kind of in the orientation that it's going to go so I don't accidentally glue it together wrong. It really doesn't matter which PVC glue you use. It's just Schedule 40 pipe that we're using, and any recommended Schedule 40 glue is going to work. And I've never been able to use this glue without getting it all over me. And I can never open these. I am also using the PVC cleaner. When you're actually building one of these, it doesn't really matter what length you cut your PVC pipes to for the most part. I've got this cut at these dimensions because I'm actually putting it on a piece of MDF, so it'll be like, it'll have a base. On this piece right here where I'm putting the elbow, to put the air valve to pressurize the system once it's done, it needs to be orientated pretty close to pointing up. That way it's a whole lot easier to put the air in it, but it doesn't have to be exact. That was the threaded coupling adapter that I'll use to put this brass bushing in to put in the air valve, which I have to get some Teflon tape. This section right here, the middle part, that's pretty much the locking mechanism and holds your bottle that launched. It needs to be pretty straight up and down. This is all we'll have to glue together. The rest of it doesn't require any glue. I make it to keep it 100% airtight, is I take a piece of a 1/2 inch CPVC, a little bit too thick to fit inside of the 1/2 inch Schedule 40. But I just put it on a drill bit in the drill press, turn it on while it's spinning, take some sandpaper and sand it down until it'll actually slide. Right there won't keep it airtight. I use O-rings, and I didn't have the right size, so I had to take 2 smaller ones and then a thicker one, and it'll make a really tight seal on that bottle and still allow it to come off. Now that I have that on, I'll go ahead and slide it on. When those two are squeezed together, it keeps that O-ring in place and allows it to create some friction on the bottle. Now it slides on there and it helps keep that air tight. That's one thing too, on your top piece of your Schedule 40, you want to make sure that it's not so long that you can't slide your bottle on. I couldn't find any Teflon tape so I'll have to get some later, but I'll put it together just to show you. And that's where you fill it up with air. You want that O-ring about in the middle of the neck of the bottle. Let's put me a line to where it stops. I'm using 7 zip ties that I've cut down to about 6.5 inches. I'm gonna use a piece of tape to help hold me together and space these out. These are actually what hold your bottle. They zip tie. You want the little part that sticks out to hook on the top of your bottle, and that's what helps hold it until you're ready to launch it. You can use a bunch of different bottles for this. These are the ones I'm using, and I'm using 2 to make 1 rocket, which you don't have to, but I use one that's solid, and then I'll cut the other one and end up making it look like this. I just spray painted it red because it'll be easier to see it flying through the air. You take your hose clamp, and I'm just gonna slide it down. I need to loosen it up. Leave it down there until you get your zip ties where you want them, and then you can fasten them down with the C-clamp. It's hard to get these exact, but you just need them pretty close, just enough to hold the bottle. Actually, I think I'm gonna go with 6. That worked out pretty good with 6 on there. Now I'm gonna slide my bottle down and get it to where I need these to latch. It's a whole lot easier when you use a socket for this. That's the release mechanism. This piece right here, you can use 1.5 inch scheduled 40, which will actually hold those onto the bottle until you pull the string, which drops it down and releases it. But with a 1.5 inch PVC, it doesn't like to slide completely over the heads of the zip ties. And this is just a piece of a leg off a plastic storage shelf that I cut down, and it's a little bit more flexible, and it'll allow it to slide completely over. Because if not, you need to make some kind of tension system that will keep tension on the bottom of it so it doesn't just slide off of the zip ties. I screwed 2 holes in the center of the pipe where I can attach a rope to, which will actually be the, I guess, the trigger for it. I made this platform that I'm actually going to mount the launcher onto. You don't have to do this. You could call this right here finished. But I just want to have it on something that's going to help keep it flatter, and it's actually got a little bit of weight to it to hold it down, so when you pull the string it doesn't tilt over. Which you could use like some just little stakes to stake it into the ground, but I just chose to do this. This is just a 3/4 inch MDF, and I just cut a handle in it so I can actually hang it up, and makes it easier to carry. I'm just going to use 1/2 inch pipe straps to fasten it down. That and some 1 inch Kreg screws. One inch was the shortest screws I had. That's the only reason I'm using these. I'm just not going to drive them all the way in so they don't come out the back side. They almost come out the back side of it, but they didn't. These are galvanized, and if you're going to do it this way, you want the galvanized because when the rockets go off, this gets completely soaked. That's why I put a coat of paint on the MDF, so it still won't last that long, but it'll work. Now, in order to make this release from the bottle and let it go off, you have to tie a piece of string, rope, or anything. I've just got some paracord. But you have to make it to where it'll pull straight down and not back. So I'm using 2 inch and 13/16 screw eyes. And I'm going to drill them right here, and then that way the rope will go through it and it'll pull straight down. And my rope is too short. Well, that took a little bit longer than what I thought it was going to. Now you can get an idea of actually what holds it, because I can fill this up with air and this bottle will not go anywhere. Now with the bottle locked in, it's stuck on there, and I'll have some air leaks because I don't have the Teflon tape and I need to work on that O-ring. But I'll put a little bit of air in here and show you how it works. These are a little bit stronger than what you think they are, depending on how you design your rockets and how much air pressure you actually put in them. So make sure you're careful. I'll put a little clip earlier where I was working on this and it could have been painful. It went right by my head. Hope that wasn't too much. Okay, I think I need to get a smaller. It went right by my head, but that was my fault. So just make sure you're careful if you do try this, because it is fun for kids. I'm basically building this for my granddaughters. They're old enough now to where they can pull the string, but I'll run the string far enough back to where they're not close to it when it releases. That's also why I like to put mine on a piece of wood so it's not going to fall over on the ground. There's a bunch of different ways you can actually make rockets, and you can use different size bottles. Any bottle that has the same size hole as a 2-liter bottle will work on these. You can use smaller or bigger. Just these are the ones I like. The smaller ones better with a smaller diameter. And this is just from the dollar store. I think I paid like 75 cents. And I actually take 2 bottles to make the rocket, but you leave this one and don't cut it, because that's your pressure chamber that where you'll actually put your water in, and also that holds the air. The other bottle, I just cut it. I cut the bottom piece off, and you actually don't need this. And then leave the top for the nose cone portion. The rocket actually sits like this, and I slide the one section over the bottom, and then this will be the cap that just goes on. And I just use Gorilla Tape to put them on. And you can make your fins out of a lot of different materials. I just had a thin piece of plastic that was on a case. And I made me a little cardboard template. Traced it out and then cut them out. On it to help make it go a little bit straighter. Well, we'll see once we shoot it. I haven't shot it yet. Then I just use the Gorilla Tape also, and then I just tape them in thirds. And this bottle right here, to put one, it was 3.5 inches is how far it is in between each one of the fins. That's all there is to making them. Which this one, I painted this one because it's a whole lot easier to see them flying through the air because they actually go pretty high. And this one right here, I'm going to try and put an action camera inside it, inside the top of it. And I just have a couple pieces of foam that hopefully will keep it from destroying the camera when it lands. But then I'll tape it together and actually shoot it, which it throws the weight balance off a little bit, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. And hopefully it doesn't destroy my camera. But we'll find out. Like I said, when you're making these, the length of your PVC doesn't really matter. You can paint them if you want, but just make sure if you do paint them, you don't paint this top section right here because you want it pretty smooth. And also you don't want to glue this piece because if you ever need to change your O-ring, you wouldn't be able to. Well, you could, but it'd be a lot harder. But this way, I can make a different length shaft. If I had a taller bottle or a shorter bottle, I could just make another one of these